And welcome back to Touchline Talk here on 110 Sports. We're going to jump right into what's next, starting with this afternoon's Europa League action. Your easily highest profile game of the afternoon, Real Sociedad Napoli. Sociedad playing really well, both in the league and so far in the Europa League. Napoli looking to get back on track. Both these teams should make it through no problem, but getting a win here would help after a rough outing. More of an unlucky outing than a poor performance, but not the greatest start to the Europa League campaign for Napoli, so they got a chance to turn it around against a really good Sociedad team. And then you get into sort of picking between other matchups that aren't quite as high caliber. But I want to mention Tottenham Royal Antwerp because Antwerp is the other team that won in that group. So this is a team that already has a Europa League win, and Tottenham also won their first game, so this is a chance to really take control of the group, and for Tottenham a decent test theoretically, although it's still the Europa League group stage. Bayer Leverkusen, Slavia Prague. Wanted to mention this one because Leverkusen opened their Europa League campaign with a 6-2 win over Nice in another one of those higher profile matchups that you get every once in a while in the Europa League group stage. So they're playing really well right now. Carried that over into the Bundesliga over the weekend. So keep an eye on them as a team that is starting to round into form. Was not the greatest start to the season. Still not where they want to be in the Bundesliga, but plenty of time to turn that around, and they're playing really well right now. And then also wanted to mention Arsenal and Dundalk, just because it's not every day you get one of these England-Ireland matchups. Dundalk is going to be chomping at the bit to have a chance to play Arsenal, and Arsenal's going to rotate their squad. They're going to rest some guys, but this is just one of those really cool things that you kind of wish happened more, and why it's so much fun to have a meritocracy in our UEFA competitions, both the Champions League and the Europa League, so that you get stuff like this every once in a while. Then we go back to focusing on the leagues. Halloween on Saturday. Liverpool West Ham is probably your key Premier League matchup, your headliner. Again, Fabinho comes out with an injury. Klopp rested his front three, didn't start any of them against Midtjylland. They're going to be back for this game, I'm sure, but this team is just so banged up. We'll see how long it takes to get some of these guys back. And West Ham have been playing really good teams really well. You look at what they did to City, what they did to Leicester. David Moyes has got them playing at a high level right now and against good competition. So this is a big test for Liverpool. To me, the best game of the weekend in terms of Europe is Borussia Mönchengladbach, Red Bull Leipzig. How do Leipzig respond after getting destroyed? How do Gladbach respond after a disappointing draw where they had it in the 85th minute? Marcus Thuram's off to a good start. They're good going forward. They're fun to watch. So that, to me, is the best game of the weekend in the Bundesliga. Those teams trying to fight for third and fourth, get back into the Champions League behind Dortmund and Bayern. And then in MLS, you got two games here. Dallas, Houston, Nashville, Chicago. Dallas is 6th in both points and points per game in the West, which is important because you have this Colorado Rapids reality that they're not going to get anywhere near as many games as other teams, but right now they're in the playoffs based on points per game, which Don Garber has said is what they're going to end up doing. So they're in the playoffs but still have work to do to actually clinch their spot. Houston needs a lot of help to find a way to get in, and obviously that starts with maximizing the amount of points they can get in their games and picking up wins. And of course, you got the rivalry factor here as well. Nashville, Chicago, just talked about Nashville, and they're playing phenomenal right now. They weren't always in this kind of position, but they've really pulled it together at the end of the season and are not a team you want to play at this moment in time, even though they've clinched their playoff spot. The Fire are in control of their own destiny with an extra game in hand, but currently sit outside the playoffs in points, which is more significant in the East because you don't have the Rapids, who are going to be playing 3, 4, 5 fewer games than everybody else at the end of this thing. So they've got every opportunity to continue to pick up points and get themselves in. Disappointing loss against Philly. They showed some real resiliency, scored a goal down a man to equalize, nearly got another equalizer. But you also lose this game to Nashville. Inter Miami finds a way to win, and it looks very different. So this is a massive game for Chicago, just to find a way to get the... We're to that point. Said it with Philly about last night's game and apply Chicago here. Doesn't matter how it looks, doesn't matter how you play, just find a way to get the points. That's the goal right now. You just got to find a way to get into the playoffs, and then who knows what happens. And then finally, we go to Sunday. And I accidentally put November 2nd instead of 1st, so I apologize for that. Nevertheless, Manchester United Arsenal, your other big headliner in Europe this weekend. They're both in really tough stretches in their schedule right now. Extended periods of playing really good Premier League teams week in, week out. United 15th, Arsenal 11th on the table. They could both really use the points here. And again, you got to find a way to get through these stretches without losing every game. United were able to get a point against Chelsea, while Arsenal lost at home to Leicester last time out. Napoli Sassuolo 2-3 in Serie A, which is not necessarily what you expected to say, but nevertheless, here we are. Napoli's got to just keep picking up points after they got penalized so harshly for what happened against Juve. And Sassuolo, I mean, this is an opportunity, if they can win this one, to really cement themselves in this race and potentially play spoiler here and find a way to be the darlings of Serie A this season that get into the Champions League or Europa League or something. And then Major League Soccer-wise, Philadelphia, Columbus, this is your game of the weekend. Philly can all but clinch the Supporters' Shield with a win. There are so many other factors that it's not going to be definitive, as far as I can tell, trying to look at the math. But that puts them in a really, really good position if they can find a way to win this one. And of course, if everything else breaks their way, there's a chance. But basically, they just need to win this game, and that's pretty much going to do it. Things get interesting if they lose, however, and Seattle keep winning, Toronto wins, all of that stuff. And then your other big game here, NYCFC, New York Red Bulls. I want to highlight this one because of the rivalry factor. They're also battling for seeding in the Eastern Conference. So this is for home field advantage and who has to play who and all of that stuff. Here's your fun fact for the day before we get out of here. Last 5 meetings between these two teams. Both teams have 2 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw, and have scored 5 goals. It is dead even the last 5 times these teams have met. So either we're getting another draw and it's going to be even through 6, or somebody's going to have an edge in the recent history after the Red Bulls were so dominant at the beginning of this rivalry. It's always just one of the better matchups in Major League Soccer, and bragging rights and all of that, even though we obviously don't have full capacity fans or anything like that. That is our show for today. Be sure to check out Chris Brown and his reaction to the Dodgers winning the World Series, and then Justin Turner celebrating with a positive coronavirus test on Around the Bases at 1 p.m. Eastern. Josh Molnix will be back with his show, as always, tomorrow morning. That is all for Touchline Talk today. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you Tuesday.